goes a little deep. We're going to have to fizz this fish.
Oh, dang, it's decent.
He's a keeper.
Let's just measure because
2 pound, 2.5 pounder. Nice. Good fish. Way to start. You want to touch him or something?
touch the
big one like that, you gotta take your time. That was awesome, bro. Having a big bite, you know. I got him. Okay, dude, it happens. It happens. So listen, this is a learning experience. When you got a big fish like that, you gotta let them run. You can't just keep winching on him. You stop reeling and you just keep tension on him with your rod and you let him wear himself out. But you kept wanting to crank it. You can't do that. You gotta give them some time when they're that big, because not only is
What's going on, guys? Thanks for dropping in and seeing what we've got going on today. Just saw a couple fish catches there, and that was just from a day on the water, I don't know, a few weeks ago. But what I want to discuss is my top 3 or 4 baits that I am going to target these summertime bass. Now, I am in no way, shape, or form a great offshore fisherman. Number one, I don't really fish what I would really consider offshore. I never focus on anything really deeper than 15 feet. 90% of that, I'm fishing probably 12, even 10 feet or less. It's just the areas that I'm fishing are not on the bank. They are offshore, but they are not really those deep breaks or super deep, brush piles or anything like that. It's just not my style. I've got to keep my baits moving. And in the summertime, that is typically one of the best ways offshore to get bit. And I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make in the summer is they don't fish fast enough, is what I'm going to start my day with 99% of the time. The old ball and chain Carolina rig. Now, I know there are some of you that are wincing right now in pain from just the thought of a Carolina rig. Mine is a very simple setup. I've got a video breaking down my setup a little bit better, and I will tag that somewhere up in here. But mine's a fairly simple setup. I do not use a giant 2-ounce egg sinker like some people do. I keep it simple, 3/4 ounce egg sinker, glass bead, or plastic bead. I don't use glass. Plastic bead. I've got a little stopper right there in the video that will explain why that little skirt collar is there. To a swivel with about an 18-inch leader. Rarely do I go over 18 inches. Rarely do I go under 18 inches. Occasionally, if the bite is super, super finicky, I will lengthen the leader a little bit and experiment, but 99% of the time, 18-inch leader. Sometimes I want, you know, something that's going to really float up off the bottom, and other times I want something that's going to hold a little more snug to the bottom. So I can look at the salt content in a bait. More salt, heavier, going to stay down a little bit. Less salt, bait's going to float higher. I don't like a great big bait on my Carolina rig. Now, some people like to throw the 8-inch Magnum Lizard. There again, me, I'm still throwing a 6-inch Lizard, but I just feel like I get more bites that way. But here's one that I really like. This is a net bait, Pack a Slim, 4-inch. This bait floats up really, really high. You can imitate a crawfish. This can also imitate a bluegill. Got some chartreuse in it, a little bit darker back. As the pinchers move in the water, it's going to kind of give it a swimming action. If I'm going to try to make it look like a bluegill, or want to, I'm going to keep to bluegill natural type colors and profiles as well. Something that's going to give off that bluegill vibe. And I keep my Carolina rig moving. I do not do long pauses. I'm not waiting a long time. So Carolina rig is my number one. That is my go-to. Second thing I'm going to throw, and this is just kind of my backup deal, and especially some of my spots are really hairy, and you break off a lot of Carolina rigs. So I will go with a Texas rig, standard Texas rig. This is a full-size brush hog. On a Texas rig, I will go bigger, 10-inch worm, 12-inch worm, full-size brush hog, Magnum Lizard. You might ask why. On a Carolina rig, you're saying smaller baits. Now you're saying Texas rig, bigger baits. It gives me an opportunity to give them two different looks. Sometimes I can follow up with a Texas rig with a bigger bait, and I can get that fish to react. I know I've talked about this a lot, and you may have noticed it in some of my videos. This is a traditional straight worm hook. Now, why do I use this versus a wide gap? Let me show you. Find a wide gap here. Here's an old wide gap laying here. Look at the bite from the tip of the hook to the bend by the eye. I don't have a whole lot of room there to get that hook drove. So what I got to do is I got to get that hook out of the fish's mouth, and it's got to turn up to penetrate. Now, look at the room of bite that I have on this one. Almost twice the width from here to here. Not to mention, the hook point is above the eye. So it's always going to be driving the hook, whether the fish has it deep or not very deep. I don't have to get the weight out of the fish's mouth for this hook to penetrate. That is a big, big deal right there when it comes to fishing a Texas rig or a Carolina rig. So number 3 is a jig, just a good old jig. And there again, I will change colors accordingly. Bluegill pattern, if that's what I'm going after. The jig covers such a range. This is just a regular flipping jig, casting jig. I will occasionally throw a football jig, but most of the time, just a regular, structure type jig is what I'm going to fish. And I will change the colors up depending upon, the forage. Is it predominantly bluegill? Is it predominantly crawfish? If it is bluegill, what does the bluegill look like? I'll make some tweaks to do the very best I can is to match the natural environment as much as possible. Okay, so the last thing, if everything really goes to hell, and it does around here, shaky head. I will pull out the old shaky head and the Zoom trick worm and go to work. Now, deeper water, I like a little bit bigger shaky head. If I'm fishing up a little shallower, or if I'm around a lot of heavy cover, I'll go with a smaller shaky head, a little lighter one, so that I'm not constantly hung up. As you can tell, this bad boy has been around the pond a time or two. Lost River Lure shaky head. I've preached and preached and preached about these shaky heads, guys. The hook bend, the hook design, the way the hook angles up, clears the screw lock, got a great bite on it. You do not lose fish on this shaky head. So you can get a hold of them, Lost River Lures, on Facebook. Check with Mark and Karen Keen, and they will get you hooked up with some shaky heads. We've got them in bulk packs, 3-pack, I think is what they come in standard, green pumpkin and black in color. And he may even have them in kind of a brownish, color as well. So shaky head will save your butt sometimes offshore when it is tough. And it has done that a lot for me. Those are the 4 things I am going to try to chase them old bass down with in my summertime spots. That is what I'm going to start with. Now, I'll mix in a few other things. Keep that bait moving. Just because I say slow, don't mean you got to fish your bait slow. I mean, you have to fish the area relatively thoroughly, but you can do it quickly. And you can run it multiple times a day. So, hey, it is summertime. Get out there, go sling your rig around, catch a couple good ones, send me some pictures, drop me a comment, let me know what your favorite summertime lure is. I would love to hear it. Outside of topwater, don't put topwater, because we all know that's our favorite. I don't think there's anybody that's like, I hate catching fish on a buzzbait. Now, come on. Everybody loves that. So, your favorite summer lure, excluding topwater, because we all love that stuff. So, you all have a great week. I appreciate you all taking the time to subscribe and watch the channel and helping the channel grow. It has been a lot of fun for me and Hunter to kind of do this for a few years now, and we greatly appreciate your viewership. Share it with your friends, share it with your buddies. As always, thanks, and we appreciate you taking the time to watch our video. Have a good day.